Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of
The Skooled Zone.
Alright, when we last left off, we had pretty much cleared out everything of importance in Granny Rag's little building here. And we're about to partake on her side quest. Okay, we're going to go up there and grab that. Before we do, this came into my field of vision, and this little mark on the wall here looks like kind of an X marked with red paint with the top filled in. I think that's a marker made by the City Watch to indicate that a house has been infected by the plague. So it's kind of a warning sign for people to stay away, a little mini quarantine. So let's figure out how to get up to that top area here. And that's how we do it. Okay, so there's some dead guy up here. Couple of bolts. Pouch. Let's see what his lookout orders say. Plant your ass on the roof and watch the street. See who comes to the almshouse. And see if that old lady knows anything. She's blind, but maybe she heard something. Slackjaw. Okay, so an almshouse was a term used for a charity housing project or an old age home. And Slackjaw is the guy that we are going to help Granny deal with. So let's start heading that direction. And before we head down there, I just realized that we're not going to go into the distillery first. We're actually going to go to this marker over here, Dr. Galvani's office. But there are a couple of things we can grab up here. Let's see what this offers up. Okay, so there's some loot in here. Always a good thing. Processed whale oil, a rewire tool, a dart, some coins, and a Perth jewel box. So Perth is actually the name of a royal family in Dishonored, and it may be a nod to either the city in Australia or the city in Scotland. So we're going to grab that. Don't need any of that. I think we're pretty good on health. Nate, drop point has changed. Leave it in the shitter under the bridge. If the elixir ain't there, you don't get paid. Okay, so at some point up ahead, we're going to see a shitter under the bridge, and there might be some elixirs in there. So we'll look out for that. And I think, that's all we saw up in here. So let's head on. Ooh. There's a couple of bad guys. Let's see what's going on over here. I don't know if they say anything. Maybe I have to approach by the street. Okay, so if I remember correctly, I don't know why they're not talking, but they are kind of trapping a dude in here. You can see him right there. And he can't get out while they're still there. So we are going to do our little grenade trick again, and we have one grenade left. Let's see if we can time this right. We'll make it bounce right about there. Sweet. And it busted the door open too. Just what we wanted. Let's see what he has to say. First, let's see if there's any loot we can grab. There we go. He's got a pouch. And there's a guy cowering in here.
I owe you, brother. I want to ask about the mask. I wouldn't want my face seen either, pulling a stunt like that. You know what? I'll return the favor. Come by Griff's shop. That's my business. Well, it was, at one time, but now I'm reduced to scavenging things from here and there as the city dies. If you need anything, I wouldn't mind trading for a little money. Maybe someday the plague will blow over and everything will go back to normal. But until then, it's scavenging for me.
Griff. Alright, so that's his name, but it could be a play on words.
Don't worry. Those Bottle Street boys had no idea where I keep the best loot. So come by when you can.
Huh. So his name may be a play on words for the phrase grifter, which means like a con man or a swindler. Writers will often do that, actually. They'll use names that have sort of a hidden meaning because they're writers. Grab these coins. I think this is just some food. And there's a little area up here. Nice. Bone charm. Carrion killer. Carrion means like rotten flesh. But I'm not going to be doing a lot with the adrenaline feature in this game because I like to be the silent, stealthy type. So we'll leave that unequipped. Geological Survey, West Pandician Basin. So I think it's pretty much a repeat map, but they're calling it something else, so it can be new loot. And we've got a book here. Let's just take a quick peek around. And nothing else of importance. So let's read Bone Charms. Excerpt from a book on sailing traditions and scrimshaw. So scrimshaw literally means bone carvings, usually by whalers, and its origin dates back to right around the time that Dishonored takes place, so the creators definitely did their homework. Bone charms, a sailor's blessing, they say. The carving itself is a practice from long back, passed from father to son. Old man salt, which is a similar term to salty dog and means an experienced sailor who spent a long life out at the salty sea. To greenhorn, which means the opposite, a total noob, still getting his sea legs beneath him. In the old days, men cut into tusks of ice seals and into the arm-long fangs of bears that roamed the isles north of Tibia. Once the whale trade began, the practitioners went to engraving the bones of these great beasts, rendering charms that sing in the night and grant some small boon to a man's vigor or defense against pregnancy. Okay. It's funny to think back to the old days and what people thought would count as contraception. There was a law passed during the time that Dishonored takes place called the Comstock Law, which sort of made contraception illegal for a good half century. So it makes sense that a lot of people relied on myth and magic instead of a little family planning. Alright, we are good here, so let's continue our journey. And there was one area up here I saw. Yep, that led to some more, so let's finagle our way up there. Getting low on mana. May have to use a spiritual remedy in a moment. Hemlock essence. Mother's journal. Timeless children's rhymes and a Gaffer's Tale Volume 1. So we read the Gaffer's Tale Volume 1 back at the Hound Pit's Pub, so we're already starting to get some more repeats. Let's see what this Timeless Children's Rhyme says. Okay, so this looks like a fun one. Excerpt from a set of cautionary tales for children. A cautionary tale is a warning usually told as a folk myth to act as a deterrent. So it'll usually start with a bad act and then follow up with like some karma. They say that Jimmy Whitcomb Riley was a brawler his mates called Smiley. He ran around up and down town, pulling off every kind of crimey. On Bottle Street, he hung with the boys, throwing bricks and glass and other toys. They'd start a fight and then run and hide, breaking, laughing far and wide. Smiley liked to eat and drink all day and smash and bash the night away. Drunk and all alone, he drifted off a-sleepin', sittin' on the bridge along John Claverin. When he woke, something strange he found, stranger than a singing wolfhound. He'd become a blue-jawed hagfish, most slimy, and only remembered his name was Smiley. They say that Jimmy Whitcomb Riley was never seen for all of timey, but sorry. I'm going to pause the video before I crack up. All right, I'm back after 5 minutes of laughing. You ever run into those situations where someone will tell you a joke, and it's not really that funny, but for some reason it just hits you in a way that just makes you start cracking up? And I'm not doing drugs right now, I promise. Okay, so let's get back to it before I lose my breath again. But he swam around up and down, drinking from the river, crying, "Why me?" Okay, let's move on while we still have some of our sanity here. Mother's Journal. 8th entry. It's the 4th day of the month of rain. Morris is sick and so are the children. I've avoided it thus far, which is good fortune, since it has fallen on me to care for them. 9th entry. The city watch comes and goes, knocking on doors, asking for signs of plague. Even our neighbors cannot be trusted. Earlier it was difficult to keep the children quiet. Now they sleep most of the time. 10th entry. The flies have set in. I try to keep them away, but I can barely get close. They sting so. Most of the time, Morris won't answer me when I try to talk back to him from across the room. So she's referring to the weepers. When you get close to a weeper, the insects around the weeper sort of reach out and sting you. If we ever get attacked by a weeper later in the game, you'll see what I'm talking about. 11th entry. Morris is gone. I don't know what I'll do. For now, all my hope is reserved for the children, leaving the flat for a while near dawn. And in case you're not from the UK, flat means like an apartment. I found some plague bags from a guard booth while no one was around. So those are like the body bags that you'll see around. I took a while, but I got Morris into one of the bags. At least his face was covered. Sad. 12th entry. Young Robert has passed. The star of my sky is gone. Page missing. 17th entry. Elise stopped breathing in the middle of the night. She was such a headstrong girl, I can hardly believe she was overcome. She was always near as I cut up hagfish or vegetables, arguing with me about everything. 18th entry. It is the 4th day of the month of wind. It is settled in that they are lost to me, all of them. I cannot bring myself to call the dead counter. 19th entry. I have the fever now. No guards come near anymore. Tale of sadness. This must be them. That we can do now. So let's see what Griff has to offer us now that his so-called shop is open.
Want to look at some of the things I found? Good prices, I swear.
Yeah, right. Alright, well he does definitely have a couple of useful things here. The lens magnification is just fantastic. And the Sokolow's elixir, which will come in handy. So Piero can create it. You can sort of reverse engineer it, you could say. A couple of bolts on this bulletin board. And we're going to start making our way onto Clavering Boulevard. Here's a guard. Too bad we don't have any more grenades. That'd be fantastic to throw right down there. Oh, wait. Now that's another excellent use of the whale oil. All right, wicked. So we are going to, you know what we're going to do before we go into Galvani's office, because that's going to be a whole episode unto itself. We are going to just scout around down here, do a little looting, see what we find. So fishmonger, this store looks closed, but a fishmonger is basically it's like the seafood department in a grocery store if it was its own store. Ooh, there's a bunch of rats down there. We don't want to mess with them just yet. It's going to be pretty awesome later when we can get the power that allows the rats to eat the corpses. Guard there. We don't want him to see us. And let's just take a peek down under this bridge here because, yeah, here's that little shitter they were talking about. I really hope this is not what counted as a public restroom back in the Victorian era, but I have a feeling that wasn't totally uncommon. But we're not in need of any health, so we're not going to go digging around there. All right, perfect. So let's take the high ground. Can't jump up there yet. We don't have that skill purchased. So we're going to have to rely on the link. Some of those king sparrow feathers. And instead of going in the first floor or the second floor, we're actually going to skip all the way up here to the third floor and sort of work our way down. Awesome. Okay, so when we pick up in the next episode, we're going to thoroughly school Dr. Galvani's offices and then head back to Granny for another rune. And by the way, I'm just going to take a peek here. Okay, that's past the wall. And okay, so we're good.